We have the Reed Raiders head football coach here, Tony Amantia. Last year, it was 31-7 at half, and then the game ended, as we all know, one of the greatest games, one of the greatest regional championships, 49-45, but Reed was at the short end of that. But it's a new era, it's a new day in Reed football, and Tony Amantia is here. We're going to get started. Basically, Coach, thank you also for helping us out with this. Where did you start and what brought you here to Reed football?
You mean go all the way back to the beginning?
All the way back.
Well, I think, in high school, I really enjoyed the coaches I had, and I really enjoyed athletics, and I was a three-sport athlete, and I enjoyed the weight room, and which was kind of in its beginning stages back in the 80s. I'm 48 years of age, so I've been around for a while, and all that stuff kind of accumulated into something that I had a huge interest in, and I kind of realized probably when I was a senior in high school that I wanted to teach and coach, and that was the direction I went in college. Played at Bakersfield Junior College, got a scholarship to the University of Nevada, played for Chris Alt. I was a graduate assistant for Coach Alt after I got done playing. Then I got my teaching credentials and started a high school gig, and I was an assistant coach at a couple places for a while, and then got my first head gig at Bishop Manogue High School in 1997. Coached the team for 2 years, then replaced Joe Sellers at Wooster High School, and coached there for 4 years. And I opened up Demonte Ranch High School, and I was there as a head guy for 9 years. And then it got to the point where my kids were getting older, and I was physically worn down. I kind of one of the things that I've learned about myself is sometimes I don't have an off button, and I go and go and go. And I got to a point in the deal where it was time to take a break, and I stepped back, and I did some assistant coaching for my godson's team at Galena High School for a bit, and then they convinced me to be the D coordinator, and I did that for them for 2 years because it was in the neighborhood that we lived in, and then I kind of just got out of it, and I needed a break. I needed to look at things in my own life, and because I've always had this issue with being consumed by football and being completely focused on the computer all weekend long, and my wife's over there, my kids are growing up, and I'm not really paying attention to them. So that was something that I've had to overcome, and there's moments right now getting back into this thing that I gotta pinch myself and go, hey, they need you. You can't just be locked in on this thing. You're not good for anybody if that's who you're gonna be.
Absolutely, and I can speak personally on the weights part. I actually was at Demonte with Coach Amantia when he was the coach over there, and I took one of his weights class, actually very intense. But Coach, you said you were with the district also for a little bit, on the athletic side, kind of more of an administrative role.
Correct.
What really drove you to get back into coaching?
Well, I've never ever put the coaching tools down. I'm always on X&O Labs, and I would watch film. I had 3 or 4 huddle accounts from guys on different in different programs here in town that would just give me their access, and I'd watch all the games on the weekends. If I couldn't see them Friday night, I'd watch it on huddle, which is where I really rather watch it anyways, because I can slow everything down. And my boss, Ron Stallworth, knew that I was doing all this, and he was a big factor. He kind of started pushing me back out the door, going, hey man, you're in good shape, you're not even 50 yet, you might be getting close to that age, but you got years left in you need to go back and do this. And then we kind of realized that the district was going to there's going to be some cuts around Christmas break time, and potentially my job was going to get dissolved. And so when we figured that out, I went after the Reed job when it posted, and went full steam ahead. And the funny thing is that probably 3 days after I got the job, they let us know that they were taking away my position down at the district. So that was kind of good timing.
Things kind of fell into place on that
Correct.
one. And you said you put full steam ahead, but to be honest, it was real nice and quiet about who was going to be the next head football coach at Reed. We were all like, oh, wow, Tony Amantia is coming in. Can you kind of take us back to the day where the athletic director basically said, hey, it's your job, and what went through your mind when you heard that?
To be honest with you, it's been 5 years since I've been in charge, and I mean, I was nervous, just to be honest with you, because I know there's great expectations at Reed High School, and it's a big school. I knew I was going to have to flip an entire coaching staff. I knew that a lot of lower level guys were going to go on and doing different things. Coach Howard was going to take his whole entire varsity staff, so I was going to have to start from scratch in terms of hiring a staff, and would I be able to get on campus and teach and coach? That's the only way it's really going to work out, and that was my big thing. Is I said, hey, I take this job as long as I have the weights job, and you get me in that arena so that I can run this program the right way. And there is all the intentions to do that right now, and that's kind of up to the allocation gods and what's going to come forward here in the next couple of months with all our allocations for our teaching positions. But so I guess to kind of summarize it, there was anxiety because I'm competitive. I know how much this thing can consume you. I know the responsibility. I know the time commitment, and I kind of had walked away from a situation where I was pretty comfortable and I was with my family all the time and jumping back into the fire. But I knew this, that I believe that I'm here to help young men out more than anything, and help guide them and help teach them to give to a greater good than themselves, and help them to understand the process of how you got to go about things in life. And sometimes you don't always get what you want, and how you need to be task-oriented versus being ego-oriented. And that's why I'm here. And so I've got to put, however many years the guy above is going to give me with this thing, and with my health and my family and what I can and can't do, I'll be at this job trying to make guys better.
Well, you said that you're up for the task. You've obviously shown in many roles that you not only took over for Joe Sellers, you started a Money Ranch program off. You're used to stepping into little different or tougher positions. You're taking over for Ernie Howren. He had 5 straight regional championships, and then would have had 6 if it wasn't for this year. What does it mean? You have a great roster. What does it mean to take over for a traditional coach like that, and a coach that really set the standard?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, just don't come here and screw things up. Just, I think I have good leadership skills, and what I'm doing right now is just watching a lot of things that have gone on in the past with procedures and how this program runs, and we're kind of keeping it in that direction. I'm making tweaks here and there where, I feel like we need to make tweaks, but more than anything, there's a great tradition here. Coach Howren's done a fabulous job. There's a high academic standard. There's a tremendous work ethic, and I just want to keep that going. I'm just like, my whole deal is that I'm in the driver's seat. Don't screw this thing up. Add in where you can add in to maybe tweak something to make it a little bit better. But for the most part, things were done the right way, or they wouldn't have had all the success they had.
And we're gonna start off by breaking down kind of some of the positions here, but starting from the top, you have one of the best quarterbacks, possibly the best quarterback in the North, in Cameron Emerson. He's coming in for his senior year, did phenomenally. What's your take on Cam so far?
He lives up to the billing. I mean, he's a great kid. He has tremendous academic success going on. I mean, you look at what he's done academically in the past 3 years, leadership skills, athletic ability. When I first got the job, I got a lot of texts from different people who had worked with Cameron. They said, you're going to love this kid. And, I got to be honest with you. He is who he's built out to be. And my deal is to come in here is support him and to help him continue to grow as a quarterback, continue to grow as a leader, and do everything I can to make this transition as easy as possible for guys like that, that are used to having success.
And on a quick side note, Cam actually texted me and said he asked me because he knew I graduated from Damani and knew you, and he was beyond excited. He's like, "Is this?" He sounds legit. Is he everything he's hyped up to be? And I'm like, "You're gonna love Coach A." So great start to the program, but something that this program's had a lot of, and I think they pride themselves on. They had Jordan Carter a few years ago, Trey Bussey, and you got some good running backs this year as well. It's almost become a running back type of school here.
Sure.
How do we build on that?
You got to run the ball. And I think they've had successful running backs because they've had a very successful offensive line. I've had the fortune to meet a lot of their former players in the last couple of months, and you got Jeremy McCauley and Austin Corbett, those guys like that walking around, and you just visually see why they've had so much success, moving the ball on the ground and protecting their quarterback. And we got good players here. There's a whole bunch of really talented young men. I just got done going through everyone's academic progress at the semester, and I was extremely pleased with everything that I've seen. You talk about the guy coming back who got a lot of reps last year, Josiah Schmitt. Tremendous kid. Grades, phenomenal lifter in the weight room, strong, fast, character guy. And then we have Champ Robertson, who's a junior that will add in there. He's more of a wiggle guy, a little bit more a finesse guy, where Josiah runs real well, but he's very powerful. I think he squatted like 490 at the lifting competition and power clean like 305. The kid's a horse. We're going to ride him.
Absolutely, Coach. To add on to those players, you're talking McCauley, you're talking Corbett, great players at Nevada. You had here at Reed, Parker Houston's down
Right.
at San Diego State, great tight end. You guys on that offensive side, and specifically the O-line and that tight end position, you guys have college players. How do you want to continue that tradition of getting guys into the next level and just building from the trenches up?
I don't know so much as how you continue that, because a lot of that's God-given ability. But when those kids that have those tools show up, you do a great job with them, and that's going to be a priority with us with our offensive line play. My offense coordinator Maurice Carter does a tremendous job overseeing all that, and we'll do a great job in the weight room with them. But a lot of the program itself did a great job with those kids, but those kids have legitimate ability that you just don't roll out of bed with. You got to have the genetics, and hopefully we still have bodies like that coming to us.
Absolutely. And then we flip onto the defensive side of things. You guys had a plethora of guys last year that just kept getting to the quarterback, kept hitting hard. It was just nonstop, chaotic defense, and people didn't know how to handle it at times. Let's start with the D-line. Who do you expect to be your standout, or some of your standouts this year?
Eric Schmitt Moran. I think he was all state. I don't quote me on that. I know he received quite a few postseason awards. He's a kid that has done a tremendous job at this school. He's got heavy hands. He runs extremely well. He's a guy that everyone has to contend with. He can play our nose. He can play end. Just depends on where we want that matchup. And there's a couple other guys. Another guy to probably pay attention to that didn't get that sat out last year because he transferred was Charles Tuwava. And Charles is he's got a D1 type body, and we'll see what he can do. And Mike Delgado and Kite Afu. These are all guys that have gotten reps in the past, and I'm going to figure out other guys as well that are going to come through the mix here and help us with that defensive front.
Absolutely. And then a key part of the team, always, you're looking at that linebacker and then secondary roles. I know you're big on defense, and you, like you said, were a coordinator even in your off time, technically, at Galena. So I mean, what is your linebacker and secondary core going to look like this year with the talent you already have?
You know, we're running a 3-4. So we got a lot of guys that are up on their feet, which is really good. It's a very flexible defense that has the ability to morph into an underfront or morph into an overfront, depending on how you add your backers. You know, I've got some talented outside backers, and that's kind of where, you know, that defense is really, you got to have the guys. A lot of kids all want to play inside backer, and I got a kid, Matt Johnson, who probably could start it inside somewhere for us if we needed him to, but he's a tremendous athlete, and I go, look, man, you don't understand how important your position is that makes this defense go, with your ability to move around out there and to strike people from either you're dropping into coverage or you're becoming part of the rush. It's critical. And I've got some guys, I got some good inside guys. I got Kennedy Davis and Jake Olson that are guys that have had a whole bunch of reps. Austin Mitchell, Greg Altman, Sam Funomia. I don't want to mispronounce his name correctly, but I got some kids that can run around and do things. I got some safeties that can play. Howard Rigdon, Champ Robertson, Cameron Kiger, Leo Nichols. You know, we got some guys that in the middle of that defense that can get some things done. And I got some nice pieces on the edge with my corners, George Marino, Isaiah Johnson, Chase Merrill. I mean, I got some kids that can play.
And Reed always seems to have guys that are just coming up in the wings, waiting to get their time. So,
Sure.
You know, we know that you've only been here 3 months. It's kind of
the end of February.
End of February. It's been crazy how fast time has flied.
Right. Oh, definitely.
But so just to touch on that, what are you seeing? Is there any guys, maybe not JV freshmen, that you're looking at, because obviously still relatively new, but like your guys that nobody's heard of last year, but this year you're expecting, you know, something out of them?
I'll be flat out honest with you. It's been like it's like fast forward. It's like Groundhog's Day. It's like get up and go. And, you know, I got 60 plus guys on the varsity, and I know I have some good lower level kids coming to me in our program, and I don't want to be disrespectful to them and their families, but, you know, I haven't even, when you got like 65 guys on your varsity, that's where my focus has been, trying to learn their names. I'm not used to the big numbers that Reed produces, to be honest with you.
It's a nice touch when you got 200 guys sometimes coming out for football.
Come back and ask that question in a couple of months, and I'll be able to answer it better.
Absolutely, Coach. And you got the guys apparently on the field, but somebody's got to coach them. Can you touch on your coaching staff? You talked about Coach Carter a little bit.
You know, I got a real young, dynamic coaching staff. At the varsity level, I have Connor Raines, who is actually, it's his first stint coaching. You know, he played at Wyoming. Previous to that, he played at Butte Junior College, and he had a stint with the Denver Bronx. He's got a great background. We're super athletic. I don't know how good we're going to coach, but our team, our coaching staff might be one of the most athletic staffs in town. I have Del Bates coaching my DBs. Jerome Johnson is coaching my inside linebackers. I just basically hired a young man from Tennessee, Garrett Hughes, who's going to coach my D-line. Kenny Rogers is going to coach our receivers, and, you know, I said Maurice Carter is our offensive coordinator, and then Derek Jones, who the two of us has coached together in the past, he's going to work with our kickers, and he punted at Nevada, and all these guys have pretty impressive resumes as athletes, but, you know, I'm a veteran guy. That really doesn't mean anything. It's great, but, you know, I got some guys that have coaching experience. It's not like we're just completely green. We got guys on our staff that have coached, but it's going to be up to me to make sure that we gel and do all the things that we need to do and to get better every day, just like it is with the program and the kids. So it's all going to come back to me.
Absolutely. And to kind of wrap things up a little bit, you go around Sparks, you ask people different thoughts, expectations. I mean, Ernie's gone, but you come in, you got guys that graduated that were phenomenal, but you guys got people coming up. I mean, it's you don't know what's going to happen this year, obviously, and we don't want to put numbers on things, but what kind of are your general expectations or thoughts of what you're going to do this year?
It's always the same. We're going to take every game one game at a time, one play at a time. We're going to compete. I mean, we got high standards. We want to be in the mix at the very end of this thing, and the only way to go about doing that is have a positive attitude and take care of business. When it's time to work, we're going to have to work. Got to put in the film time. Got to put in the time to develop depth, and you got to have a little luck too. And a positive attitude. But my deal is that I know what the expectations are, and we got to live up to them. So they're high standards.
Absolutely. And
second best isn't really accepted around here.
No, not at all. And you got your former team who was the regional champs. You got Ernie down at Minogue. You got Reno has Dan Avancino, which you never know what they're running. Just to quickly touch, what type of offense, defense can we expect from a Tony Amantia Reed Raider football team?
Offensively, we'll be spread up tempo. We're going to run zone, counter gap, throw the ball down the field, have the RPOs attached to it. Pretty much what you've seen in the past. There's going to be a wrinkle or two there that you haven't seen. We're going to be a 3-4 base defense. We're going to be basically a single high coverage behind it, and we're going to run to the ball and play great fundamental defense, and we're going to be solid on special teams. We'll work each phase of the game like it's supposed to be worked. We won't just put all our weight in one area.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time. I'm here with Coach Tony Amantia, new head football coach of the Reed Raiders. Thank you.
Thank you.